SSM's Wednesday Global Africa program brings to you our news stories, exclusive reporting, and SSM perspectives on the day's top news. Plus, the inside scoop on Africa's most important developing stories. Join us on Wednesdays, 11 a.m. West African time.
Good day, viewers around the world. My name is Mark Godwin Iwejuwan, and you are welcome to SSM Wednesday update we call Global Africa. Global Africa is our program that gives out our stories, exclusive reporting, SSM perspectives on the day's news, top news, and gives scoops on also important social issues. So it is 12 o'clock here in Central Europe. And we know it's 11 in some parts of the world. It's 10, it's 3. And far away, Toronto, Canada, it's still morning, and we have George Chukwu with us.
Good morning, Godwin Iwejuwan, and good morning, viewers from around the world. Welcome to our show. Today is going to be a fantastic one.
It's going to be a fantastic one. You're welcome, Sir George. I know you.
Thank you.
Take this sacrifice of waking up to give your audience, your followers, updates. Great job. Thank you.
That's right.
Also, one man that does similar thing is our man, Ogbeni Olayin Karaji from Lagos, Nigeria. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, viewers around the world. Good morning, Sir George. Good afternoon, Smart. Viewers around the world, welcome to our Wednesday program.
Yes, I like the way you said good afternoon to me, because yes, we have entered. It's 12 o'clock here. Yes, you're welcome, guys. Let's run through some follow-up news we had on Monday. It's a breaking news we got early this morning. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has won a third term in his governance, even though elections were very tight, and there's going to be some work to do, because he will require about I think the seats, the majority, they fell short. His party fell short majority seats, and that majority seat is about 543 parliament members. Now he will require about 272 other additional seats. So what that means is there's going to be a coalition of partnership, and we're looking how our man, Mr. Modi, will be able to take India through this third term in his governance. Gentlemen, I don't know if you have anything on that, George and Raji. And if we don't, we could also go to the news update on ANC and South Africa election that was held on Monday, and we're hearing now that it's similar thing like in India. The ANC lost majority seats, so Cyril Ramaphosa will need to look up to some number of people to add so he can form a coalition in the governance. So two issues, two different countries, but similar issues playing out. Raji, George, do you guys have anything on this?
Yes. Can I go first?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm really happy. I'm really happy the results of both elections, and I hope that similar situations will happen across the world. It is unfortunate. It's really unfortunate in Nigeria's case that the APC has a clear majority and they can do and undo whatever they like. When a government has to come to coalition with other parties, governance is more robust. Governance is more engaging. Governance is more spread. But like in the case of APC can bulldoze its way through National Assembly and get whatever it wants to get done. It doesn't do for good governance. It prepares the way for executive rascality and bumbling dictatorship. I'm really happy what is happening in India, what has happened in South Africa. Now, with the government, they come in, they bring in the best of love. Yes.
Wow. Oh, you just broke it down, no, Raji. That's a good. George, Raji said something
It's a very good one indeed. But the problem is that.
He said,
no,
coalition.
you see, listen. Number one, I am happy because the Indian Prime Minister won. He's been doing a fantastic job. You know, he's very popular, though he did not win a lot of seats. But I believe that his presence there for the next how many years will also enhance, because India is on a trajectory right now, and it's a very positive one indeed, where they're moving forward. And surrounding them, there's been a lot of diplomatic issues they're having with China. And the man that can handle this, he positioned himself as a world leader, and he's being respected in such a manner. So I'm glad about India, because they're moving in the right direction. Look at what they have done in the past, you know, since this man became the president. Now, the problem we have in Nigeria, you know, South Africa, the same thing, but the problem we have in Nigeria is that if such a thing were to happen to Nigeria, let's just say we have a system where you can have a coalition government. The problem there is there are no ideological differences between the parties. Everything you see today as a bill in the House will pass because everybody is afraid. They don't even know any difference whatsoever between, you know, whether you're conservative or a liberal, or liberal conservative, or whatever the case might be. All of them are like sheep with no shepherd, heading in the same direction. Whatever that is asked, I have not seen one bill that they brought to the floor that actually had an opposition and it reflected in any way whatsoever. So that is the thing with regards to some other countries like India. Yes, India, you know, because of religious, you know, situations there, you know, they might have a little bit of faction regarding decisions that are being made right now. One of the major ones they are facing is how to become a citizen, because they're using religion to make a lot of Pakistanis and the rest of them to become a citizen, and they are fighting over that situation. So, Olayinka, I am sorry, but I respectively disagree with you, because in our country, all of them are a pack of the same wolves, all in the same basket.
Pack of the same wolves, all in the same basket. While you were speaking, we have joined us from London, UK. Femi, okay. Femi, okay, you're welcome to Wednesday Global Africa.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes, also, well, we can't be all men here, you know, masculinity, you know what I mean? So we have with us Adiva Fiona Akanu, also from London, UK. Fiona, you're welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good.
London is well represented today.
Exactly. And unfortunately, we're not doing much of the foreign news, because we really needed Femi, one of you, to give us that London update on election. Fiona, I heard you've also been chosen as one of those I'll be counting the vote. That's
no comments.
Nice. No comment.
No comments.
Okay, guys, let's move on now. Let's move on to something serious.
I wanted to talk about that India stuff, but you know, carry on.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. If
no.
yes, it's good to hear.
So I want to disagree with George. You know, of course, people think that Nigeria doesn't have any ideological things, but I say that Nigeria has a little to the left, a little to the right. The conservatives are the PDP, and the progressives are the APC. Now, with Modi, you know, we have a situation where he has used religion to further himself in power. You understand? And the result of the elections is that basically that religious fervor and that fascism has been rejected. Of course, because the majority of Indians are Hindu, it's obvious that BJP will become the largest party, but they've lost their majority, just like in South Africa, ANC has lost their majority. But because he's the largest party, he's likely to form a coalition government. We've been there before in Nigeria. In the 1959 election, in the parliamentary system that we had coalition government. And many people want us to go back in the past, but I have good bad news for them. The past failed us, and that's why we are where we are. They failed us in the 60s. It failed the regional government, the parliamentary system, the so-called coalition government failed. There was NCNC and Northern People's Congress. They had a coalition that failed, and also when they had the next election. Let me finish what I'm saying. When they had the next election,
I'm just stopping you.
When they had the next election in 5 years later, what happened? It was massively rigged. The MPC ensured that they had a majority with rigging the elections, and their stooges in the southwest, the NNDP with Akintola, joined them to form what was the Nigerian National Alliance. It was a failure, and what was the consequence? It led to the coup. We had Operation Weta in the southwest, and so on. Regional government didn't succeed. So when we look back in the past, we try to look at rose-tinted glasses as if everything was fantastic. The system, whatever system you put in place, is not this problem in Nigeria. It is our stinkingly corrupt, selfish, stinkingly corrupt politicians. That is the problem. And if we fix that,
I thought we are talking about India.
Of course, this is a debate about India and Nigeria, and I'm just letting people understand that India has had their situation. We have an example of where they are now, and we can look back in the past. People always look at the past with rose-tinted glasses, but I'm here to tell people the truth and not fake news.
You are distorting the history of democracy in Nigeria.
The facts speak for themselves. We've had a failed democracy.
You have not put out any facts. You have just put up personal opinions that have jaundiced.
The facts speak for themselves. And if you want to look at it even further, go and look at the videos of what happened when the military took over.
Can you go on with your Indian speech?
I'm finalizing now. When the military took over in 1966, everybody was cheering and everybody was happy because they were fed up of that government and the corruption and the insecurity.
People
and the
cheer
nonsense
whenever there's a change of government.
So
in
there
Nigeria.
we go. That's fine, no problem.
Okay. Anyway, thank you very much, Femi. Femi, you
listen. Allah is a man of history. Yes. So whenever you talk about history, Allah Inca will always come because he's a man of history. So anyway, I can understand why he's disagreeing. But anyway, let's continue. Let's continue, please.
Yes,
let's continue. All right, guys. Thank you. But anyway, he did a good job. At least he brought it all together and gave some comparison.
He did not.
But let's look at our country. Something is burning now. We're waiting. I'm actually here waiting also for the outcome of the directive that have been given by the president to the Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, has been told to bring the figure, the real figure today. It's today, Wednesday. And I know Femi is also watching the update. Our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, directed the Finance Minister to propose a new national minimum wage. And he says that figure will have to represent what the people want. So it's coming after a meeting at the Presidential Villa yesterday. And they had a meeting, negotiation broke down. And the meeting even had the Petroleum Corporation Limited CEO, that's Shell, and some other big personality in Nigeria. So, but the result, the conclusion was let the Minister of Finance go and put out what should be that minimum wage. So let me start with Fiona. Fiona, I know you're following news too. So what do you think? We're waiting maybe before 4 o'clock today, and a press review will be given, a press statement.
Okay. So first and foremost, I think that the expectation that a minimum wage figure will just, mysteriously appear after a meeting yesterday is, this is a work in progress and something that has been a discussion that has been going on for a while. I think for me, as opposed to us having everybody come to the table, let's quickly agree on what I think that it has to be, especially in the Nigerian context, I think it has to be quite a laborious task. I don't think it's something that we should just all get up the next day and agree on an amount and say, oh, this is perfect, and then everybody moves on from it. So I think that the expectation that any minister anybody in the cabinet can just sit down, rush together some figures, and it's going to be something that's going to turn out to be a good product at the end of it. I think that's a big expectation. Of course, I realize that we have been waiting with bated breath to see where this whole minimum wage / living wage debate will go. But I think that if it's going to be something that's workable, especially within the context of Nigeria, that is quite a complex animal, I think it's going to take more than just a few people negotiating back and forth over a few days. We have, when we're going to have a change in minimum wage here, it's a series of things that happen, because it doesn't just have an effect on one thing. So I don't think that the meeting yesterday, the figure should come out today, and then everybody's going to be happy. I think it's far much more detailed than that.
Thank you, Fiona. Gentlemen, ladies, let's give the Nigerian Labour Congress man a few minutes. Listen to what he said yesterday, and we'll come to this. George, we'll be taking comments from you right after that. Let's listen to this, please. Viewers, this is Ajero, Labour Congress headman speaking.
Wait now. Yes, now let him. It's nothing. There's what an agreement that within 1 week. Is anything new yet? No, he's not saying anything new. We signed. And I'm repeating it now because it's from and you are disrupting him. This is camera. So for 1 week that was our agreement, and even international conventions they say you don't negotiate at gunpoint. So whether they thought that they were negotiating at gunpoint or whatever. So we didn't suspend, we relaxed. When our statement comes out, we relaxed our actions for 1 week. So that we can negotiate. Yesterday's meeting was a kind of mediatory meeting. And then we're going back to the appropriate organ that discusses wages. So we've returned back to status quo, ante alum. So the status quo was the 497 and the 60,000. So depending on good faith, we can move up and down to reach an agreement. But if not, another stalemate.
So which means it's because of the 1 week.
We have to take it off. Thank you. I want to say a special thanks to AIT, African Independent Television, for that clip. It's courtesy of them. So George, Raji, Femi, Diva, Fiona, we're hearing it from the boss's mouth. Now, this was as at 6 p.m. yesterday. So, there was so much going around. Some people said they've called off strike, blah, blah, blah. Now, we've just heard from the man. This was at 6 p.m. yesterday. And today we're waiting for the federal government part of the update. So, but let's run with what we've heard from Joe Ajiro, Nigerian Labour Congress boss. Sir George, with what you heard, what do you think could be done? He says they are giving them 1 week. The strike has not been called off, but 1 week of
relaxation.
Yes, grace.
Yeah, I think it's a good. I think it's a good grace that they offer. At least to get things back to normal again. People can go to work and all that while they're negotiating, which is very good. The government offered 48,000, 57, and then from 57 they jumped to only how much? Only 3,000 naira to 60, which doesn't even make any sense to me. When a bag of rice is $87, and when you convert that money into dollars or pounds or whatever, it's so minimal that you don't even know what to. And you see, the major problem we have on one side of it, you have to be careful because of employers. Because if the minimum wage is so high, they will not be able to afford it. Therefore, you will have an increase on employment, and then it will cause even more problems. But if it is too low, Right now, as we are in Nigeria, many people are suffering from malnutrition simply because of food insecurity, because of insecurity in our country, inflation, and everything else that is going on. So I believe that they need to come to a common level of understanding, comparing, making sure that there is a balance between the two. Where people can be able to afford their daily meal and their necessities. And then let them begin to cut down on a lot of things like what Raji suggested yesterday. Because there are other areas that needs to be touched in order for people to live fairly good. That is making sure that the price of gas is lower, and all this hijacking of utilities and price of utilities that people cannot even afford and businesses cannot afford. They have to take a look at it. And that's why I believe that what Fiona is saying is very, very important, because it's not something you can go and just take a pen and pencil and erase and then put a number together and come. There are so many factors to be taken in consideration. And I don't think it's only going to be with the Minister of Finance. A few others needs to come together, join together, put their heads together and compare, and then analyze a lot of situations in order to come to that particular minimum wage that will be equitable, fairly, and just. Not only that, comparing what the House and the government themselves have given themselves in the past. So we have to compare that.
Thank you, George. George, also, Raji, while this was happening yesterday, another man, I think he's the Nigerian Labour congressman from Edo State. He was saying something that was very, very, very critical. He said, these people that make this policy don't get to see they don't experience what the average Nigerian experience. They don't buy rat food, for example. They don't even move around the road. They use everything government, and that man's words were real. He hit, I heard him speak, and those words were real strong. Raji, so how will somebody that doesn't experience the day-to-day life of the average Nigerian citizen now come to dictate what becomes the minimum wage, as we call it? Tell us, Raji.
Now, so now, if I have to take it from this point, I'll be taking the case from the middle. I want to go to brass tacks. Listening to Ajero speak, I can see that he's just a thug. If he were very, very intelligent, we would not be talking about minimum wage. We'll be talking about all the things that makes that minimum wage so insignificant. Now, what do most people spend their money on? What we should be talking about is not about a figure for minimum wage. Look, let us sit down together and discuss this thing as mature people, as humans who are really, really interested in the progress of this country. If I were to be part of the team for Tinubu, Ajero will not be speaking. He will be in jail. Because for anybody to have precipitated a shutting down of the national grid, that is a treasonable felony. For that reason alone, he will be in jail. And then all those who assisted him to do that will also be arrested and prosecuted. Then the issue of let's come to it. What I want us to be discussing, not a figure. Look, what are the things that could make that whatever figure comes out reasonable? Let government reduce the cost of fuel. It is now 800 in some places. When the government came in, it was less than 200. Can the government put it to 400 in spite of everything? Tariff on electricity, the deception of trying to divide us into bands and then steadily moving all the bands to the same band and charging everybody 220 something naira per kilowatt hour is deceptive. It's not right. It's dishonest. Let the government fix it at 150 for everybody. For those who require more power, because there's already a willing seller, a willing buyer arrangement. For those who need more power, I don't need 24 hours at 200 and something. If you give me 10 hours at 100 naira, I'm okay. But there are some people who need it. because they are industries and they don't want to run gen. So let there be a certain grade for them. They can be in whatever band they want, but for the general public, let not be more than 150 naira per kilowatt hour. These are two. Then the exchange rate. Whenever we are talking about minimum wage, we are all comparing with dollars. Do we spend dollars in Nigeria? So let us focus our mind on whatever figure we are going to deal with to be in naira and not do any comparisons in currency. So from the get-go, I could see that even the minimum wage of 30,000 is not being paid by our government. The best you can get from government now is 70,000 per annum per month for as minimum wage. Therefore, it is up to the NLC to accept it, and then for the government to do the things that we have enumerated earlier.
Thank you very much.
By the way, can I just say something about one thing? I respectfully agree with you, Olayinka Raji, when you're talking about certain amount of money. But for you to say that Ajero needs to be arrested, treasonable felony, let me tell you something. How much do you have for your hardship allowance, Olayinka Raji? And are you paying any hardship allowance to all your employees? Is there any?
That is beside the point. National grid cannot go down for no reason at all. There's no justification for shutting down national grid.
Can you listen? Let me just rebuttal.
I'm listening.
No, okay. What you need to understand, we're in a democratic society, okay?
Yes.
And there are forces at hand to balance the equation. And this particular the TUC and the NLC, they are a force to be reckoned with. So you cannot jail anybody. You're not in Russia or some of these other countries. So please, let's stop that nonsense.
Thank you, George. Sorry for that.
They can't turn themselves into a mob and shut down the whole country.
Femi, there's while all this was playing out, some companies and some resource-based organization was doing some calculation. Now they came up with the minimum wage of top oil-producing African countries, and they did it in naira. Now, top oil-producing African countries, take note of that word. Now they did. We see here. You can see on the screen there, viewers.
Gabon.
You have Gabon. You have Equatorial Guinea, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt. Now, if you look at it all, Nigeria is coming second to the last. Sudan is the last there, and they are comparing it with the oil. They're comparing it with Africa, the territory, and all of these things. So, Femi, why can't we really amp up this minimum wage thing?
Okay.
And really, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you put those statistics there, because I've been telling people for a while now that Nigeria is the poor giant of Africa. It's no point us saying that we're the second or the largest economy or the second largest or whatever. When you divide it per capita, we are a poor nation. And so when you put those statistics there, you should align that statistic with the population of those countries. And that will explain to you why we are near the bottom there. So that one, I can throw that to you straight away. Now, I want to align with Raji. I don't really align much with that, Raji, but on this one, I'm aligning with him. The point is, and I'm afraid George is said that we are a democracy. And in democracy, what is the main thing of the democracy? The rule of law. And what is that based on? The Constitution and the laws, okay? And what does the Trade Union Act 2005 say? It says specifically, section 31, 6A. You can go and check it up, because I like to bring these things to the fore. It says that if you are involved in an essential service, you cannot go on strike. And the penalty for that is 6 months in prison or a fine. So the idea that, you can't, you can do whatever. And then if you go to, there's other parts of the law that deals specifically with anyone tampering with electricity. In any country around the world, you cannot do that. I don't say they shouldn't go on strike. By all means, go on strike. And in fact, I want them to go on strike because it's time to bring an end to the power of unions in Nigeria. We need trade union reforms and we need it badly. You know, another thing that it says in the act, it says that before you go on a strike, you've got to ballot your members. Yeah, and you have to ballot your members, and that means not TLC, not NLC. That means every single individual union has got to ballot its members, and then they must get a majority of the votes before they can engage. Did any of that happen? No, it did not. So this is what I'm trying to say to you. You can say all you want about the unions and the freedom to strike and all that, but you must follow the law. And if you don't follow the law, Nigeria, as I've always said, is a lawless state of lawless Nigerians. And because government is not prosecuting these people and putting them in where they should be, that's why we are in the way we are. Don't have one law for one and another law for another. I believe there must be a minimum wage, and I believe, and I've said it for a long time, that minimum wage will be between the regions of 70,000 to 100,000 naira. But as we speak, state governments cannot pay 30,000 minimum naira wage.
But
private sector, I was asking Raji, will you be able to pay the minimum wage? If he was more or less saying, yeah, but when they said 494,000 as a minimum wage, I doubt if Raji will be able to pay that. I'm just saying to you, let's be realistic. We need an increase in the minimum wage, but it has to be realistic, and we must avert inflation. The very inflation that people are screaming for is what will happen. And finally, this equivocation of comparing it with the value of the dollar and all this kind of stuff, that needs to stop. When we are looking at our wage increases in the UK or anything, we don't call on the dollar or the euro or whatever. We are spending naira, and we should focus on our naira. And we should start buying and consuming Nigerian products, which means that we don't need to worry about the value of the naira. That's what we need, products and services. I finally end on that point.
Let me allow Fiona to say it before I say what I have to say.
Now, before Fiona says, let's do one small break, please. Viewers, you can't have it better than this. Look at what's happening here, viewers. We have think tanks. You know, these are people that probably should have been in the board also setting out this minimum wage thing. All right, we'll come back. Thank you, Femi. Thank you, George. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Raji. We'll be back.
SSM's Wednesday Global Africa program brings to you our news stories, exclusive reporting, and SSM perspectives on the day's top news. Plus, the inside scoop on Africa's most important developing stories. Join us on Wednesdays, 11 a.m. West African time.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerian soul are proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
This country has some of the most extraordinary culinary diversity in the world. I'm talking about Nigeria. This first dish is amala abula, made popular by the Yoruba people in southwest Nigeria. It starts with amala made from dried yam and then is covered in a variety of soups. Next we have ofe nsala, a white soup that is synonymous with the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria. It goes best with fufu, or akbo as the Igbos call it. Next we have suya, the most well-known food of the Hausa and Fulani people of northern Nigeria. Meat is covered in a peanut-based powder called yaji and cooked over an open fire. This is banga and starch, a classic of the Urhobo people of Delta State. Lastly, we have onunu, a plantain-based swallow of the Izon people in South Nigeria. We are eating it with fisherman soup, popular throughout this whole region. And of course, we don't forget the jollof rice. This is popular everywhere in Nigeria. I think what makes Nigeria so great is the diversity of all the different people coming together. These beautiful ethnic groups living side by side, sharing culture and cuisine is what makes Nigeria such an amazing country to visit. Nigerians should be so proud of that cultural heritage heritage, as there is so much more that unites than divides them.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes is that.
Yes, you're welcome back to our second segment of our Wednesday program, Global Africa. I'm here with my colleagues, coordinators, and friends from different parts of the world. George, are you guys there? Femi, Fiona. We just had that our new national anthem. Fiona, your face went like this. Aren't you proud of hearing your national anthem?
No,
Femi,
yeah, you know, it's yeah.
You know what? Even Femi okay, has been advocating leaving the past alone, and coming to the new Nigeria that we are. So when I was watching him, he was shaking his head when the Nigerian we held the lady was singing it. Anyway, listen. The bottom line to it is this is where we are. We have a government. They have mandated. What can we do? So we have to inhale the poisonous thing that has been given to us. It's okay.
Nigeria, we hailed it. I agree with you, but the thing is, when we watch this show, in the segment, and we always have that beautiful rendition of the new old national anthem that we used to have, and I loved it. I thought it was great. But this one, I'm sorry, it didn't fill me with any kind of excitement and patriotism. Maybe they need to add some music to it and render it in a different way. I'm not really feeling it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you. All right.
Maybe Raji's loving it. Raji's the old man. He might be liking the past. I don't know.
No, how could I? No, Femi, I take exception to that. I'm not an old man. I'm a very young man.
Just kidding.
Let's get that straight. Now, talking seriously. We do not have tribes in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
We do not. In fact, the Yoruba ethnicity is about almost 50 million. You can't call that a tribe. We don't have tribes. So all those things, our tribes and things is not. And then about our motherland, native land. I mean, we are not natives. We are not natives.
It's outrageous.
Yes. It's outrageous. I don't know what about
we appear to be agreeing again. Rajo, Eshel, thank you.
Right, guys,
honestly, I don't know what our leaders are taking or smoking that made them want to go back to that ancient.
The reason why this particular thing was brought back was because of Obasanjo. Obasanjo was under the regime of Obasanjo that the new national anthem came. So now, because we saw that there has been a little squabble between Obasanjo and our current president, maybe that's why he made a decision. I don't know. I'm just suggesting.
Conspiracy theory. Come on.
Let's welcome Bidi Nana from Lagos, Nigeria. Bidi, it's good to have you in the show because we've come
good day, everyone.
Wow.
Viewers all around the world. Thanks for having us again today.
These shades are intimidating.
Yeah.
I was just coming out from the program, and that's what I was putting on.
Good.
I think BD must have had breakfast today.
I think she did.
I had breakfast and lunch. Femi did well. He did a
wow.
Yes. Femi did well.
Thank you, Femi. Okay, we want BD to always have breakfast and lunch, and every Nigeria to also have breakfast and lunch. And this is where we're coming to now.
No, when you come back, you and me. I've said it. Just come to Nigeria.
Listen,
you and me. I'm going to spoil you.
Okay. It's a sober. It's a sober moment we've entered now, and I want you all to be part of this. Viewers, we want to discuss something very, very, very important. While all these minimum wage, it's going on, light breakdown and all these things. There's something more serious happening, guys. And before we start, I also want to warn that the images you might be seeing might be distressing to some people, but we just have to show these things. This is the only network where we can do this. So, fellas, there's an organization called Doctors Without Borders. And yesterday, the Doctors Without Borders said it's an alarming rate, the number of malnourished children. It's becoming life-threatening recent weeks and days, and the figures are jumping like crazy. Like, I mean, you won't believe it. So I want us to, this is going to be something we're going to dive in for a more longer time, because most networks are not saying this. And these are our people, these are our Nigerians, fellow Nigerians, young children, little babies, and they are dying of hunger. They are dying of starvation. Children wake up in the morning, no food to eat. Mothers and fathers have nothing to give to their children. Nobody has anything. The state government, the local government don't have provisions for social provisions. At least bring noodles, pasta, these little things that could be available are not there. Now our children are dying. Immediate action needs to be taken, and nobody is taking those actions. Lives of children are in the balance now. Everyone needs to step up. We need to talk. We don't need to see this happen to our children. So, guys, I want us to talk about this. This came out last night. The organization in French is called Médecins Sans Frontières, and it is Doctors Without Borders. And they are shouting. Imagine foreigners are the ones coming to tell us what's happening to our children, to our people. And we're not in war. It's not a Biafran war season. It's not a civil war. We are in a normal state of a nation, but people are dying of kwashiorkor. Children have no food to eat. People are, waking up without nothing. Children are having bloated stomach because they are nothing nourishing in that body. And like the image you see now, this is an image of Biafran war. This was what happened in 1967, 68, 69, 70. Igbo Southeasterners were killed in numbers, died as a result of malnutrition. And that was how you have the story of the stockfish. And I hope you guys know the Oporoko Panla, like they call it. The story is some part of Europe came and brought that fish because that fish has more nutrients, and children were given stockfish to have with them, sleep with it, bite it all through to energize them and revitalize them. So we don't want this to happen, guys. We can't have a reputation of the Biafran war. So let's talk about this. How can food be brought to these children that don't understand what the politics is saying? They have nothing to do with all these minimum wage, all these things people are saying. Right in the heat of all these guys, we see what our president, the APC government is doing, spending money to travel around, doing things. We saw handouts that were given out in this tribute for the 1-year anniversary, phones and phones and gadgets and iPod and everything was shared among people in numbers. Meanwhile, children are dying of hunger. So this is it. This is our focal point for today. George, let me start with you.
Well, I've been following some of these announcements and news regarding the malnutrition of our children. You see, the worst part of it is that we don't have any measure of our statistical analysis, and that's why everybody, every park, every village, every city, houses, somebody might die, they just go and bury the person. There is no data collection that will actually give us an accurate analysis of what is really going on. But when these Doctors Without Borders, when they come and they begin to see some of these things and compare it with other nations where they have been, that's why the alarm is being sounded over what is really going on. We need to wake up, honestly. We really, really need to wake up, because we are, you're talking about giving out iPhones this 90 billion that was budgeted for, for Hajj, if you were to use it to buy chicken and rice alone, I know how much, most of these children could be able to get a little bit of balanced diet in them. Part of the reason is because if they keep on eating, carbohydrates without any protein or any other, that's why their stomachs are growing like that, and that's why you see this. So I'm not quite sure whether this picture is an accurate picture, because the picture could have been taken anywhere else and brought to us. But if this is the case and what they are reporting, is accurate, it is a sad day in Nigeria, honestly speaking.
George, the picture is accurate.
Our hearts.
It's accurate. It's coming from the north of Nigeria, where the famine, the hunger is hitting the most. But before we also go on, we want to say that SSM, Schengen Story Media, we are setting up a charity fund starting from today. And I'm putting in, to start with from me, I'm putting in €100 into that charity fund. BD will be on ground for us to see how we use that charity fund to help some people eat, at least. Let them eat food. I mean, they are not asking for too much. These children are not asking for clothes. They're not asking for any other thing but eat something in their body. So €100 starts this project. BD will be on ground to help us distribute, and this is the part we're playing. Let me hear, Fiona, how do you feel when you see, I mean, your dad, you told me your dad was involved in Biafra. He did some things for the southeastern side, and he told you how people were dying numbers. Children were dying because of food, nothing. People were eating grass. People were eating anything they see just to put something in their stomach, but they had kwashiorkor. So how do you feel when a repetition of that might be looming in Nigeria?
So, I mean, this expose that Médecins Sans Frontières has done is really quite alarming. I think some weeks ago I spoke about, I think there was an outreach where food was being given to people in Lagos. And I said, well, this is actually quite interesting because they're distributing food and it's not war times, and see what's happening. So it's actually quite sad for me that it has gone full circle and it's come to this situation. Of course, anything that's going to bring about food stability is something that's, much needed. And in terms of affordability at the point of need is very important. So which kind of ties back into everything. But I think, and I know this is going to sound really off key, and I know this is going to be not politically correct. However, I also think that there needs to be some fundamental education being done at the grassroots. We need to, because I have 2 children, and I can tell you that even that experience has not been cheap. The idea of me having 6, 7, 8, 10 children in this, I don't. So for me, I think that the education also needs to be about people having a proper understanding that having a child doesn't just mean giving birth, but it's a long-term thing where you have to make a provision for that child. So whether it's about the knowledge about contraception, whether it's the knowledge about whatever, I think that it's a much bigger problem than just, they're not eating. Because if there are 20 kids and there are 2 kids, in terms of resources, it's going to be shared completely differently. So I think that is a big thing. Of course, I appreciate the fact that there is hunger in the land, food isn't available, there's no money. All that is definitely a fact. But there's a difference between trying to manage food for 2 children and trying to manage for, say, 10, for instance. So I think that it's something that works hand in hand. And whatever that we can do to support. I mean, I know that quite a few of us here personally have different outreaches. I do outreaches myself to widows, young people, etc., etc. So I know that we all have things that we do because we are the social service system that Nigeria lacks so much. So I think the incentive from SSM that's coming up is really great, and I'll support that in my own way that I can. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Raji, before we come to Femi, Raji, you were old enough to understand what happened during the Biafran War. And now we're not in a war. Nigeria is not in a war. It's stable. Believe me, this is the best moment for Nigeria, but people are not well nourished. Somebody said, when you just touch somebody, you just hit somebody, the person falls and collapses and dies even. So, and I was telling them it's because that person he hasn't eaten, he's not nourished, So any slight boom goes away, Raji, what would you say about all of this? It's serious.
See, my own major concern is not so much as whether the person is malnourished or not nourished, but a person who did not have the basic nutrition while growing up. When he grows up, he's essentially mentally retarded a little bit because he didn't have the ingredients, the nourishment that he could have used to nourish a full system. So it goes beyond what you are just seeing now. But all these malnourished children are going to grow up, and just imagine the kind of society that we are going to have with those people who are malnourished from birth. I also would want to agree with Lady Fiona about education. I went to my village, and what the children were crying about was that they wanted to go and eat Indomie. And I wondered, what has happened to sweet potatoes, which is our main product in the village? Why are our children eating Indomie? There's no nourishment in Indomie. Therefore, we should also curb our laziness, because most of us have become so lazy that we are willing to just put a pack of Indomie in water and feed our children. The simple method of 1 egg a day if two children could share an egg a day, it's enough starting point for nourishment for children. So whatever thing SSM is trying to do, I want us to put in that system, an egg a day, or have an egg a day for a child. That would be a very good starting point because egg contains the full nourishment, the full protein, the full nourishment that a child needs for proper growth.
Thank you very much. An egg a day. That's a good
Can we see? I'm just wondering why Raji is saying that people are lazy and that they're not cultivating their land when they go to the farmland. And look at places where most of this malnutrition is taking place. It's in the north central area, Yobe, Adamawa, and all those areas. These were our main farmers before, until the plan to eradicate them from their land has been going on. Can you just imagine what is going? Okay, these people, when they go to their farmland to farm right now, they don't even know whether they're going to be kidnapped or what. And you're talking about them being lazy.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about my village. I'm talking about my village.
Oh, you're talking about your village?
My village, yes. Okay. I know about the war of attrition going on around the Middle Belt, yes.
Yes. Femi, shouldn't our focus, APC, the way it is now, also, shouldn't we just really focus? Because I know you as a farmer, I know you told me you have some farm project going on. Shouldn't we really focus more on this agricultural thing, like Obasanjo's military tenure did with the Operation Feed the Nation, and he really intensified people going to farm, anyhow it could be mechanized farming, local farming. Femi, what do you think? I mean, this hunger thing is serious. It's serious.
Well, on the many platforms I've been pushing forward many projects that people are doing in Nigeria right now on farming, and many people are making lots of money in farming right now. And farming is really the way to go when you're talking about hunger. But the problem with Nigeria, I might be sounding like a broken record, but people, I'm sorry, I know George might not like this. A lot of the Nigerians are indeed lazy, and look, many of the people who are suffering from this malnutrition, if you like, are not even in the North Central and so on. They're actually within the cities. They're in the cities where people are not have got minimum wage or whatever, and they can't afford to buy food. You understand? So those ones living in the cities, they can't go to the farm. Can they? They don't even have a land. They're living in a flat up and down. You face me, I face you. They haven't got anywhere to do any farming. You understand? They're living in the city. They're not working. They're suffering and whatever. It's time for those people to go back to the farm. But tell them to go back to the farm. They don't want to go back to the farm. The people, the youth in the farm, they're abandoning the farm and they're going to the city. So we've got mass migration of people moving from rural areas into the city centers. There's no jobs for them. You understand? And they can't feed themselves. Meanwhile, they won't go back to the farm. And then there's some people will say, okay, in some places, in isolated places, there are farmer herder clashes and so on. But that's not everywhere. 99% of farmers are still farming. You understand? But how are they farming? They're doing subsistence farming. Subsistence farming with 200 million plus population can never feed Nigeria. And that's the reality. What are our state governors doing? The real role of state governors is to provide sustenance, food, and security for the people. Everyone keeps focusing on the federal government. I think it's misplaced. State governments are not doing their duty in providing an enabling environment for people to go back to the farms, to create the mechanized farming and all the auxiliary services so that they can grow the food for themselves. So if you can't feed yourselves in Ogun State, you should be looking to your governor and your commissioner of agriculture. If you can't feed yourself in Abia State, focus on on Governor Oti and the Commissioner of Agriculture. Focus on the federal government is misplaced, and this is why we're not moving forward as a nation.
Femi came on through another angle. Anyway, yes, Femi, it sounds real knowledgeable. BD, I don't know how you come in this one, because last time you told us you woke up no food. And this sounds like what Femi is saying. The people in the city don't have access to the food. Everybody's right there. And you have told us there's food in the market, but there's no money to buy the food. So how can we go about this whole thing? People are dying. Little kids are dying. That's what the doctors from these other parts are saying. Yes. BD, tell us, what's the solution? BD, we can't hear you.
It's
okay,
really
right.
It's really difficult in Nigeria here. People are hungry. See, someone asked, is those pictures real? Let me tell you, we have pictures that are worse than that picture. But Nigerians, we don't like to put up some certain things out there. People are really hungry. Like I said the other time, there's food in the market, but people cannot afford it. Who talked about one child, one egg? As I speak with you as of today, a crate of egg is 4,500. That puts one egg into 250 naira. This was what we were buying 1,008 of early last year. It's 4,500. So to buy one egg now is 250 naira. So how much is the family making that they can afford to buy 5 eggs? So things are difficult. Things are very difficult. The truth is this: our government, our politicians, our leaders are so mean to their people. We are very mean to ourselves, because in the midst of this hardship, few are living in affluence. Few people are living in affluence, and a lot of people are suffering. People are dying on a daily basis. I'm not exaggerating. People are dying on a daily basis because they can't afford to buy food. People cannot afford to treat themselves. People are getting ill. If you go to the hospital, you can't afford hospital bill because everything is so expensive. Now, I like what Femi said, that the state governors are not doing anything. We have gotten to a stage that state governors should use. Now, before I contact, it is it's very, very unfair for anybody to look at any Nigerian in the face and say you are lazy. Yes, I know some people might not be doing things the way we expect them to do it, but Nigerians are not lazy people. Nigerians try.
Yeah, but why can't they make up food for themselves if they're not lazy? I mean, you just talked of chicken now.
I want to come in that.
Do you know that you can just get 3-4 chickens?
Let me tell you why they can't make up. Let me tell you why they can't make up food for themselves. I don't want to mention the states. There's this army officer that arrested some Boko Haram. That was last year, early last year. And order came from Abuja that he should release them. Arrested some herdsmen. He refused to release them. They sacked that army officer. As I speak with you now, I don't want to mention, if I mention it, it's already in the news. That's what happened. People are farming in their farm, but the herdsmen are not allowing them to farm. I have a friend today who is dying. And when I mean dying, his name is Leko. He borrowed money in the bank. He went to, after Ogun State, to Oyo State, he went to acquire land. He started farming in large scale. And herdsmen started attacking them and his farmers. And they brought police thinking that they will manage it. They killed the first person. They were still there trying to manage. They killed 3 people in his farm. They left everything now and ran away. And the money this guy borrowed is running 2 million. This I'm telling you is just between Oyo State here or Osun State here. They're kind of in a city. He ran away. The guy is depressed now because the bank is on him. They don't want to hear that Boko Haram or herdsmen attack your farm and you left it, you don't have anything to show for. Exactly what LA people are going through in our town, in our state.
Fiona, wipe your tears. It's okay.
Yes.
Wipe your tears, Fiona.
Yes,
it is okay.
I think something should be done. Something drastic should be done about this herdsmen.
Yes, it's sad. When
very drastic. Now, I don't know why it is so rampant.
Fiona got emotional, viewers, because
it's just because I've seen this happening. It's happening in my state. I've seen people who have cultivated cassava, etc., and I've seen the videos. It's not a Photoshop anything. I've seen the videos where these animals are literally just eating their crops, as in literally just walking through and just eating them. So I can imagine that that's a frustrating place to be in. That is frustrating. That is
why is it allowed? Why do we allow it?
Okay. Look, I agree with everybody. I agree with everybody. It goes back to what I say about the state of lawlessness. We have laws, and trespass is a law. If someone takes their cow onto your private land, he is trespassing. So on that loan alone, he should be prosecuted. You understand? But we don't even, I don't know what laws we have. And in the South, they have banned open grazing. I think open grazing is a crime of the century in Africa and in other countries. I think that is scandalous, that all the efforts that a farmer puts in to feed themselves, we're saying we can't feed ourselves, and then cows will just come and munch it all up. And there's no compensation, there's no prosecution, and it's happening all over the place because we have to eat beef. Because we've got global warming, this is outrageous, and it needs to stop.
Let's use the next 5 minutes. Baby, thank you.
Can I finish?
Yeah, okay, you want to make us cry blood this time? Okay.
Now let me finish. I'll run it off. I'll be fast. Now, in those states, do you understand? These people enter into the farms. They eat up people's crops. They don't only eat their crops, they kill people. My friend now, Leko, is down. He's depressed. He's owing bank. He's sick. He can't even afford food. This is a guy that entered into agriculture in a big farm. That if this time worked, he will make money and people will make money. This is just I want to give you an example. This is just Osun and Oyo State here is a town. Now imagine people in a remote town in Ekiti, in Imo, in Ebonyi State. Who hears what happens in Ebonyi and other states every time? Our government, it cannot arrest herdsmen in Nigeria. You can't. If you're as a DPO, if you arrest herdsmen in Nigeria, they will deploy you. They will remove you from there. So where do these people farm?
Okay. Can I interject? Can I interject? Okay. Now it is a sad situation. Okay, when a desperate situation like this happens, it is time for the local chiefs, and local leaders to come together and devise a mean to oust these people. I am telling you this for sure. Where I am dwelling, there are some. Hold on. Don't, because who is your local chief? There are local leaders that are also, know what is happening in their villages or in their towns. So that is the time for local people to come together, put a plan together to ensure that these people are not going to remain in their land. It doesn't matter.
That's
There are
one
ways of
of the
survival.
things that Igboho was doing before. That's
Do
what
you see
Igboho
what
was
is
trying to
happening in
do.
Enugu State now?
Listen, you can.
Do you
Local
see what
people
is
can.
happening in Enugu State?
Okay, can I say something to you? Listen.
The unknown gunmen in the east, can't they ensure that those unknown gunmen, instead of killing each other, can't they ensure that the herdsmen are taken out?
Yes, instead of killing soldiers, one day chase these people away. Where are they allowing them?
Yes. Why are you allowing them, especially in the east?
The chief that has been bought over, that sold their conscience. Our chief doesn't have any legal standing in Nigeria. They've sold their rights. They can't speak and they stand. One of the chiefs you're talking about, is it not the ones that is happening in Kano, who have no rights again? Do you understand? Which chief are we talking about? We don't have chief in
What
Nigeria.
we are talking about is local people can come together in their own towns and bring a force that will chase the people away. You can't just sit. It's a survival. It's a survival thing.
Do you know why IPOB is running in Southeast? It's because they are confronting herdsmen. What actually brought IPOB is because they are confronting herdsmen in their bushes.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
I'm sorry.
I think if they are not doing it now, they should be doing it now. All this unknown government.
Let's lighten up 3 minutes. 3 minutes more. Let's lighten up the portal. There's a small argument going on. Yesterday, our president named a major street in Abuja after the Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, and it has really it has sparked up a lot of disputes, a lot of comments.
Our president is a troublemaker. He likes trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And what I did was I went to Nigeria. You know that Nigeria has a book on naming streets and naming people after streets and all that. And I checked on the conditions. Now, one of the conditions is street names should not be capable of being twisted into obscene meaning and must not cause offense, must not start trouble, must not be a means of starting conflicts or trouble with people. So, but this one is starting small trouble. So let's just do this small talk here now. Femi.
Yeah. So I want to salute our Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka for having his this road, this fantastic new road named after him. Look, the point is, those who are up in arms, to be honest, is just politicizing the whole matter. And I think Wike is the one that suggested Wole Soyinka, and he knows what he's doing. This is all because Wole Soyinka said that he's gone against Peter Obi and the obedience for their aggressive commentary and the way they go on. So at the end of the day, Wole Soyinka, like every other Nigerian, is enjoying the freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of thought and opinion. I don't see why people should be up in arms and causing confusion because he's expressing his personal opinion. And I always say this, if you are against Peter Obi, that doesn't make you a bigger anti-Igbo, because this is the thing that people start doing now. Once you say something else, Peter Obi, they say you are tribalistic, you're whatever. You're saying something against an individual. You're not saying anything against a collective. So people should look at it that way. It's right for anyone to be against Peter Obi or be against our Tinubu. That's an individual. He's not saying he's against a tribe. And that's what it's all about.
People think and he deserves the honor. Wole Soyinka has brought fame to Nigeria and he deserves the honor.
Of course, to some people, it's like payback. It's like payback time for Tinubu, for Soyinka, for his support of Tinubu. The timing seems quite shady anyway, but what is this?
The point is this.
If I remember, Wole Soyinka was the Labour Party proponent, or he was supporting Peter Obi in the elections, or
No, he didn't. Now, see, why
Oh,
you
yes, he
push on
did.
the
He
side about
did.
this
It's after the
naming?
elections.
He
After
did
the
not.
elections, he switched.
He
Oh,
did
okay.
not.
You go and check the facts.
Go and
Go
He
check
did
the
not.
facts.
The election, not before the
He
election.
did not.
Why
He
you
was
people
never.
understand about this naming streets after Woloshenka is that one thing you should understand about this Bola Ahmed Tinubu government is all about government of compensation. And Woloshenka is one of those people who have tirelessly worked for the success of this government. So he needs to be compensated.
Tirelessly.
Yes,
Tirelessly.
work for the success
That's
of
not
this
true.
government.
That's not
Yes.
true.
Fiona,
Yes.
That's
how
not
do
true.
you
It's not
feel?
true. Yeah,
Your
He
name
was
will
a
come in,
supporter of Peter Obi.
your name will
You go
come
and do your facts.
in Abuja. Fiona, tell us.
He was not. He was never in church or he was never in support of PTOB.
Okay,
Okay,
first of
thank
all,
you,
I think all of this is a distraction. Second of all, I mean, that they named a street after somebody is that they named a street after somebody. There are streets named after people all over the place, so it's nothing. I think that there's too much. We have too many real serious concerns that we shouldn't really make this an issue. We shouldn't actually, because yes, it's about compensation, it's about this, it's about that. Let's just leave all that. That is just an absolute distraction from the matters at hand. Complete distraction.
No, Nigerians we like distracting ourselves.
Let's leave
with trivia things. We like it.
Let's leave
distracting ourselves with trivia things.
Gentlemen,
It's tactics.
ladies, George, Raji, thank you all. Fiona, BD, and Femi, thank you all for coming.
My Godwin, I want to match you with your money. I will match you so that we can help the needy in Nigeria. And I think everybody else should also do their own little contribution if they can.
Okay, thank you very much, Femi. So we'll be putting it. What we'll do, because BD is on ground. BD also had that initiative before, but BD, this one is SSM. It's not your initiative now. So, but what we'll do is use you on ground as the manpower, to put out this plan.
SSM Better Nigeria.
SSM Better Nigeria. So a poster will be coming out, a jingle will be coming out on this. We're going to raise funds. George, you're taking it around Canada. Let's save our children in Nigeria. Let's save these little kids that don't understand all of this politicking that they are playing with them. Let's save future generation. Let's do something and make people look healthy. So George, you're taking it in Canada. Fiona, you're going to take it in your place too. And Femi has come in. I'll put out the names, I'll put out the posters, and we'll run with it. Thank you all for coming. It's been SSM Wednesday Global World News Updates. And listen, viewers, this is it. You can't have it better than this. Nigerians in diaspora, Nigerians back home, come together to update ourselves on all currencies that affects us. So until we come again on Friday, have a beautiful day. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Femi. Thank you, Fiona.
Have a nice day.
SSM's Wednesday Global Africa program brings to you our news stories, exclusive reporting, and SSM perspectives on the day's top news. Plus, the inside scoop on Africa's most important developing stories.